Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at, of course, the New York Islanders. So, the New York Islanders have actually been playing some pretty impressive hockey here. They're going to make things interesting here down the stretch. Some of you may think that's a crazy thought, and I mean, you do have reason to believe that, considering the Islanders have been back 20 plus points for the last 2 months. It's pretty easy to decide that the Islanders are going to miss the playoffs. But don't look now. The Islanders are starting to creep their way up just enough where you're thinking to yourself, could something be happening here? Now, with that said, I do want to preface that the Islanders right now, with where they sit, the Boston Bruins and the Washington Capitals, right? The Bruins have 83 points. The Capitals have 80. The Islanders, they have 63. So they're 17 points back of the Capitals and 20 points back of the Bees. That is asking for a lot, and considering the Islanders are now only 2 games back from Boston, they are 4 games ahead of, behind Washington. That doesn't give you that much runway. So the Islanders are in a spot where you basically have to win out and everybody else has to lose. And the Islanders, despite that, I mean, they've actually played well. You would think that the Islanders would go belly up and say, all right, we're not making the playoffs. What are we here for? There's too many veterans on this Islanders team, too much pride in that locker room, and you're seeing that right now. The Islanders right now are on a 6-game home winning streak at UBS Arena, the House of Horrors for the first probably 2 months that the Islanders were at UBS Arena. And then they've also gone 7-1-1 in their past 9 games. And you're seeing that top line just light the lamp. I mean, you saw it again the other night against the Red Wings. We've seen it a couple of times here in the past couple of weeks. Brock Nelson has been on fire. He has been incredible for the New York Islanders. And despite the lack of scoring and point production here from Barzal recently, it hasn't really hurt them too much. You have Beauvillier, you have Lee getting up on the board, and the Islanders are finding ways to score. Oliver Wahlstrom scoring a couple big goals here and there. And that's just what you expect. And the Islanders are finding their groove. The problem is it too late for the Islanders? Because, like I said, they are 17 points back of the second wild card. Yet the Islanders are technically 10th place in the Eastern Conference, which is, they should be in the running of, maybe making the playoffs. But because of how big of a gap there is between the haves and the have-nots in the East this year, the Islanders are really digging themselves out of a hole that's just probably just too much. You look at their, the Metropolitan Division in general, that is the best division in hockey right now. I mean, you look around the league, in any other, if they were in the Western Conference, they'd be 10 points back of the Dallas Stars for potentially the second wild card spot. 15 points back of the Nashville Predators. They are more likely to get the first wild card in the Western Conference than they are to get the second in the Eastern Conference in terms of points. Obviously, they can't go to the Western Conference. You get what I'm saying here. The Islanders have so much ground to make up. It's going to be extremely difficult, but not impossible. And I think that the Islanders, like I said, the belief in that room, you have Chara, Parise, some of the veterans out there, Lee, Nelson, Andy Green. The Islanders have something here that if they, again, there are 20 games left on the schedule. The Islanders can do something here. And I think that they do believe that. The goaltending has been phenomenal. Ilya Sorokin and Semyon Varlamov have both kept the Islanders in plenty of games throughout the entire season. It's not like it's just started here all of a sudden. They have been extraordinarily good for the Islanders all season. And the Islanders are giving themselves an opportunity. Again, I'm not saying they do make the playoffs. I'd love to know what you guys think, though. Do you see the Islanders making the playoffs? Because this is something that, I mean, if it were to happen, would almost be a miracle at this point. Looking at the goalie stats, you have the goals against average, a 2.29 for Ilya Sorokin, and a 927 save percentage. Those are some pretty good stats there. Semyon Varlamov, who everybody's been saying has had a very rough season, he's actually done fairly well here recently, and he's kind of brought back his stats a little bit. 2.67 goals against average. That was at a 3 at one point. 3 goals per game. And his save percentage is a .917. So a pretty good save percentage. Like, you're talking about these two guys that are really quite impressive for the Islanders. Now, obviously, the star of the show is Ilya Sorokin. He has 22 wins this season compared to Varley's 6. So that is something to consider. But again, as a backup, Varlamov has been capable of the workload that he's needed to take. Probably not anything more than what he's taken as a 1B. He's definitely a B option at this point. But Ilya Sorokin almost had his 7th shutout the other night. He's got 6 shutouts on the season. That's second behind only Jacob Markstrom, who has 9 this season in Calgary. So the Islanders, just certain things are clicking. And if the Islanders can get hot at the right time, they say that's a big thing. Can they make up the ground from the horrors that we saw back in November? Or is it too late for the Islanders? So guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Islanders? Can they sneak their way back into the playoffs? It's going to be a long road ahead for the Isles, but you look this weekend, 2 massive matchups this weekend, 2 home games this weekend against the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bruins are one of those teams that the Islanders are trying to catch. That is extraordinarily big in terms of the standings. You also look to end the month. You have a home-and-home with Columbus. You have obviously the big game at the Garden against the Rangers on April 1st. The Islanders then go on a 4-game road trip. New Jersey, Dallas, Carolina, St. Louis. So it's going to be a pretty rough stretch. And then toward the end of the month, the final 3 weeks of the season, the Islanders have 5 road dates and 6 home dates. So the Islanders are going to be pretty back and forth up until the end of the season. They've had a lot of home games recently because of making up with UBS. I mean, in January, the Islanders only had 1 road game in January. That was in Philadelphia. The entire month, the Islanders were home in January, which was just crazy. So the Islanders, again, maybe a little bit more, the attrition is starting to get back. A lot of their players are back healthy. They look good. And the Islanders they have that belief and they have that mentality that, listen, maybe nobody else thinks we're going to make the playoffs, but in the locker room, we still think we can. And I think that's going to go a long way for the Islanders this year. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.